Thanks for checking out my video. If you want to learn more from me, I have a lot of classes on Udemy. You can find the links to a lot of those in the description. Alright, so let's talk some apotropaic magic. Hopefully I pronounced that right. It's kind of early in the morning and I am suffering from some back problems, so forgive me if I'm a little bit But I took some notes because originally I was going to make this video on something else, but then I stumbled down a little bit of a rabbit hole. And it's really cool when you find a term for something that you've always been doing or that you knew of. I like finding that term that puts something in a box. And of course, we're talking about apotropaic magic here. So let me just pull up my other stuff here. So, apotropaic comes from a Greek word meaning to ward off. You know, basically, apotropaic magic is a form of protection that has many different facets, and if you've done magic at all, or you've taken some of my Udemy courses, like I have two on magical protection. You can find the link down to the in the description for those. But if you've done any kind of superstitious stuff, I guess you could call it, or you've done certain kinds of magic, that could be considered apotropaic. And remember, not all magic is the stepping into ritual and making a big thing. Sometimes magic can be very, very small things also. It's more of a broad term for practices that involve belief and energy, and then what you do with it. So, apotropaic magic, like I said, means to ward something off. So, anytime that you have done anything to protect your house or yourself or a person or things like that, then it's technically apotropaic magic. So, some of the things, if you've done any kind of witchcraft spell work, what have you, if you've cast a circle, that's apotropaic magic. If you've ever done a house cleansing, even with, burning sage, solemn seal, camphor, things like that around your house, same thing. Even the idea of like what Christians and Catholics do, where they'll put up a cross in like every room, you know, or even if you wear a particular like piece of jewelry, like a like a pentacle, right? That, as far as like protection goes. Now, technically, the pentacle in its protection kind of aspect or form is when it's upside down. Of course, you're gonna get people that are like, "That's Satan," but nah, they don't do enough research. I've run into a couple of people that haven't done too much research coming to my comment section lately. But, anyways, let me dig on my list here. So, if my notes app thing would work. So, here's a bunch of examples. Things that are like lucky charms. Now, I'm not talking about the cereal. I'm talking about things that, if you have something that you consider to be a lucky charm, there, it could be anything from maybe a lucky pair of socks that you wear when you're going to an interview, or something that you wear that you might have gotten from a family member. Maybe it's an heirloom or something, and it always seems to, or even if just by your belief, brings you good luck. I have a rabbit's foot that my cat Reese, who passed away back in 2019, used to play with all the time. And, I never really considered it anything special until it went missing for a good couple of years. And then I found it after my cat had passed away. And that gave it some kind of special meaning. So I don't have it anywhere special. I've never technically used it for anything. I actually keep it above her little box where her ashes are in. But do I consider that to be somewhat special? Yeah. Have I used it in any protection or good luck things? No. But I think you guys are kind of getting what I'm talking about. Let's go through a couple more examples. You ever see people have things with the evil eye on it because it's supposed to, ward off bad luck, things like that? That's a perfect example of something that a lot of people wear. And do they do anything special to it? As far as being able to, what you call it? What's the words I'm looking for here? to like bless it or charge it. No, there's plenty of people that they'll wear something as a form of protection or good luck, and they don't do a low magic or high magic ritual around it. But their belief in the fact that this particular object is going to help them out with X, Y, or Z can empower the particular thing. Remember, we can charge objects and different things with a belief and therefore kind of like program their energy, I guess you could call it, for particular purposes. And if we do this repeatedly over and over and over again by having that same repeated thought about it, maybe when we get it out of our jewelry box, or every time that we put it on, or maybe when we take it off and then we put it back on, we can kind of have those thoughts. We're charging it. Um, you know, and I could take a little scientific sidestep here. I was actually talking about this with my Reiki client last night, but you know, there's cases of working with plants and water. Like there was a guy who he had 3 plants. He watered all 3 plants the same amount of water, and one plant he did nothing else to. The second plant, every day he said, "I hate you." The third plant, he said every day, "I love you." Which plant do you think grew the most? The one he said positive words to. And then even doing the same kind of thing with glasses of water and then putting the water under a microscope, the one that was spoken to negatively had a very disorganized structure to it. The one that was spoken to positively had a very organized structure to it. So we do know that energy and intention and, just how we act around certain things can actually manipulate it. So that's a little bit of a scientific thing that can lend credence to the idea of charging an object with a particular intent. And this could be anything on your altar, anything that you wear, basically. Like, did I magically charge this thing? Yeah. And this one? Yeah. You know? So when it comes to different things that you might wear all the time, think of what you're wearing right now. Some people aren't into jewelry, and some people are, and whatnot. But chances are, if you're watching this, maybe you're just magically curious, but you might have something that you wear for a particular reason. Maybe it has a some kind of significance to you, and you have a lot of connotations with it, and maybe you wear things for good luck or protection or what have you, or because they bring up certain things. Well, guess what? You're programming it. So in terms of apotropaic magic, it's the same kind of deal. So like I was talking about with the evil eye, you might charge it, you might not, but it's already built with the programming, at least in the collective unconscious, of this is what the evil eye does. So it already has that kind of oomph with it. Even the same thing with like the Christian cross or the Andean cross or other auspicious symbols. Like Tibetan Buddhism, I believe the number is 8, has 8 auspicious symbols, and of course they all have certain connotations. Depending on your spiritual system, you might have different statues in your house. Just having the statue in your house that represents a certain deity or person or what have you, even like the 14th Dalai Lama, right? What's the energy of that particular person or that particular god or goddess? The statue, what have you. That, because of the collective unconscious with the energies that are there, is already charging that kind of object a little bit with that kind of intent. And then you can add to that with your own energy, your own intent, even if you want to take it into a ritual and kind of program it and charge it on a regular basis, I would argue, to do that kind of thing. The same thing can be said for a lot of different things. And there's even a bunch of like hedge witch kind of stuff that I wrote down here. So you ever had somebody do like a horseshoe over a doorway where it's facing up to keep the good luck in? That kind of thing. There's even doing stuff like putting a pair of scissors open over your doorway to cut any negativity that's coming in your house, or even putting it under your mattress with the points facing the foot of the bed. Same kind of thing. I talked about those two things. Even dream catchers, we have them above the bed, right, to catch the good dreams and keep the nightmares away. You can even see these kinds of things on churches, because churches in Catholicism and mainstream religions and stuff, they took a lot of their stuff from ancient pagan practices. That's why you find gargoyles and other different symbols, even some pentacles and some pentagrams on plenty of churches. They'd like to say that the pentacle with the 5 points represents the 5 wounds of Christ's stigmata, but that's another adopted or stolen symbol. But still, we know that's a symbol of protection. Well, what are they trying to protect themselves from? Arguably demons. I actually learned the other day from watching something that whenever they install a new church bell, they actually do 2 blessings on it, and one of those is to keep demons away. The idea is that loud noise will dispel negative energy and negative spirits. I thought that was pretty cool. And that is also another form of apotropaic magic. Even, in some denominations of church, when they go around like with the big incense burner thing, and I think it swings around. I haven't seen that since, what year was that? 2011? Maybe 2011? But all these different things, there's symbolic actions or even objects that are supposed to keep negative entities, negative energies away. So, let me check my list here. Ooh, here's an interesting one. My lady heard this from one of her native teachers, but there's nature spirits out there, whether you believe them or not. I'm gonna go with the idea that maybe you're open to it or maybe you do. But when you're out in the woods and you're hiking or whatever, be respectful to the land around you. Don't litter and things like that, and do a plus and actually pick trash up if you find it. That's what we always do. We always bring a bag to pick up trash whenever we go out in nature, because we're trying to give back to nature spirits and whatnot by helping them out. But if you do things like that, you can actually anger nature spirits. And one way, and some of them are even just mischievous regardless, but one way of apotropaic magic to help guard yourself against these spirits is, and this is kind of funny, but it's no joke, is wearing your clothes backwards, because they can't tell what direction you're in and it will confuse them. You can kind of think of this allegorically of there was this tribe. I don't know all the information on this or whatever, but I read it on the internet a while back, where there was this tribe that whenever they would go off in the woods and go hunting, they would get attacked by tigers. And what ended up happening was, there was this organization that came up with this idea of giving them hats that looked like there were eyes on the back of the hats, and the attacks by tigers went down by like 95%. Why? Because tigers are ambush predators, and if you're looking at them, then they won't come after you, because they're gonna think that you see it coming, right? So in a way, it kind of confuses the tigers. Also, fun fact: I think it's like Siberian tigers, but it might be other tigers too. On their ears, they have those white spots. That's actually, according to like people that study this stuff, can't think of the word right now because it's like 5 a.m, but those dots on the back of their ears is supposed to look like eyes, so other predators will kind of go through the same thing as the guys wearing the hats. They're gonna think that this tiger's gonna see them coming, and then they're not gonna win. They're gonna get into a fight. My question is, what the heck would stalk a tiger? I argue Bigfoot. But okay, yeah. So when it comes to going out in nature, these nature spirits can even mess with you a little bit. So wearing your clothes backwards can confuse them, and therefore might help you from actually getting messed with. And then one of the other things that I can attest to is the use of different stones and things like that in your house. I don't know what kind of belief system you might have around this stuff, but I've done a bunch of videos on these. I gotta get back into those, but there's different stones that have different types of rocks, different types of stones that have different energetic properties. I have a lot of videos on that. Those are actually quite well viewed on this channel. But one of them is Tektite, and Tektite absorbs negative energy very, very, very well. And for a good number of years in this house, I actually had my friend's ex was very, very psychically gifted. And when she came over to visit, she always sensed that there was some like negative energies in the hallways, right? Because I have several floors and there's a stacked hallway that goes from my basement to the first floor to the second floor. And she always had these bad notions about the hallways, as if there was like a negative or a trapped energy in there. Like particularly down here in the man cave, she said that there was an energy or a spirit or like a desire of some kind of energetic that was in the hallway and wanted to come into the room, but it couldn't. So it was always in the hallway. And anytime that I had a lot of paranormal activity in this house on and off for a good number of years. And whenever I felt like a bad vibe or something, it wasn't in the living room, it wasn't in the kitchen, it wasn't in the bedroom, it wasn't in the basement. It was in the hallways. I just sensed vibes coming from the hallways. And what I ended up doing was I put Tektite stones. I wrapped them I wrapped them I put them in bags and I tied them to one of the railings on each of the floors. And what this ended up doing was dispelling that negative energy. So that's a really great example of the apotropaic magic that I can think of. The reason why I actually started making this video was because I was researching Pazuzu for a different kind of sort of different video topic, because Pazuzu is a great idea of apotropaic magic that was then used in that idea was used in later cultures for things like gargoyles and even depictions of different deities and stuff, as a means of getting rid of negativity. And Pazuzu is a very nasty looking demon, and the idea is if you befriend him and you have him around, he's so nasty and he looks so nasty, every other spirit is going to get scared away, so they wouldn't mess with you because you're friends with Pazuzu and you have a statue there, right? Because we're talking about idol worship with this stuff. So if you have a statue, the deity is supposed to inhabit that statue, and therefore if another spirit comes in, then they're going to have to deal with that deity, that particular statue. Even the Lamassu, it's got 4 legs, a guy's head, and wings. There is said to be like messengers of the gods. They would even have those in doorways to protect different temples. And I believe they actually did that at people's houses too. There's all sorts of things about, leaving something under your doormat, or even when you are cleansing your house, drawing a symbol of protection on the doorways. All of these kinds of things are a particular branch of magic, I guess you could call it, although tons of branches of magic actually do all sorts of these things. Like even the I think it's a mezuzah, correct me if I'm wrong, but the little prayer thing that's done in the Jewish tradition that you put on doorways, right? That is supposed to be auspicious and blessing. Even the prayer wheels, right? That you can go around and you spin. I have a little mini one on my altar. You can even get a solar powered one where if it's got a light source, it'll just keep spinning. And when you spin it, it's supposed to be sending the prayers out to the world, which of course is positive energy going out, which counteracts negative energy. Even Tibetan prayer flags, same idea. I have some prayer flags up here. They were actually in my living room, and then we ended up moving them down here. I actually like them better down here. I think maybe you could see, yeah, see, there it is on the ceiling. But anyways, so I have like the stupa, I guess you could call it, where they all meet is over there. But anyways, think of different things that you have done that would fall in under apotropaic magic and let me know. Or maybe this would inspire you to do those kinds of things and realize that that this protection magic stuff is a little bit simpler than you might think. Yeah. So, let me know what you think about this one. Drop any questions, comments, complaints, concerns, issues, or debates. down in the comments. You can always check the link in the description through my link tree and whatnot for my books, my classes. You can support me on Patreon. Like and subscribe if you have not. And definitely let me know what other content you want to see. Good hunting.